name of your film?
Welcome everybody to our virtual watch party of the MYgration films.
Hi.
Lori,
Hey, I'm Lori. I'm the film curator, and our first film we're going to show is made by Omar Young, who, Omar, I think you did 3 films for us, yes?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
I did three in total. We started with Patrick, then
Right,
and we're about to see Aleksandra's, so which was my
right.
second film, if I'm not mistaken, or my
Okay.
third one. One or two.
but
uh,
we're grateful that you keep coming back.
Yes, no, I think it's a really important event in Orlando, and I'm very fond of it. I'm really really fond of it.
now, tell us about your experience making this film with Aleksandra. You're Latin, she's Russian and Latin.
Right. It was incredible. I think I really made a really good friend that day. Aleksandra was fascinating to talk to. Being in her home was great, and getting to hear right like all of her experiences as a first generation children from Latin and Russian backgrounds. It was so cool. I mean, she's just a really cool person, but I really, really, really love just getting to chat with her. There's so many things there's so many more things I wish I could have done with her, but we had a limited amount of time. So
Sure.
I'm very proud of what we did do. She's an incredible artist,
Yeah,
and I
it's
would
a
love
beautiful
to
film.
collaborate with her again. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
And
Terry, do
for
you
our
have
audience, what you're about to experience is one of the films that Omar has made. Each year we get filmmakers to randomly pair with a subject from Central Florida to tell their story in a 5-minute film, and they have 5 days to do that. So we're going to be looking at a couple of those tonight.
all right. Well, Leo, do you want to roll Omar's film?
My name is Aleksandra Vargas. I am a freelance classically trained singer. I am also a visual artist and a costume designer. My mother's from Russia and my father's from the Dominican Republic. My father moved to the Soviet Union to study engineering, and they treated foreigners great because they wanted them to go back to their countries and spread communism. But my father wasn't interested in politics. He was more interested in my mom, I guess. So they ended up getting married. Foreigners were not allowed to marry Soviet citizens, and Soviet citizens were actually not really supposed to have any contact with the foreign students either. She got away with it for years until somebody told on us. My mother was tried when she was, I think, 9 months pregnant with me. I know my parents had a lot of interesting adventures trying to leave the Soviet Union and ended up moving permanently to the United States. We moved to a predominantly Dominican area. So when I started school in the Bronx, and all the teachers would assume that, especially my last name's Vargas, I guess speak Spanish. But at the time I didn't. I only spoke Russian. So when they tried to speak to me in English, I didn't understand. In Spanish, I didn't understand either. So they didn't really know what was wrong with me. They thought maybe it's a speech problem, but Then like they talk to my parents, like, no, she only speaks Russian. Through my studies at one of my courses, one of my professors, I think it was a course in statistics, he was saying statistically, first generation Americans won't speak their mother tongue. And he told me that if I had children, they would definitely not speak Russian. Well, then my child's not really going to understand me or our heritage. My art essentially represents who I am. Some pieces are inspired by Slavic art, and in those pieces, I'd like people to think that's an interesting image. I wonder where it comes from. I'd like to convey a story through that work, a history of a place, the story of my life through my culture, aside from all of the preconceived notions people may have about a particular country. When people initially move here, a lot of times they're so enamored by America that they want to experience America and become American themselves, so they don't really expose their kids to their culture. And then once they live here for a while, they realize that they've lost that connection with their children. Their children don't understand their heritage. Because I know a lot of adults whose parents maybe thought it wasn't a good idea to speak their native language at home for them to be more American. But these first generation grow up and they're always very curious about where they come from. So they end up looking for it anyway. I hope to change people's perspective, especially first generation Americans, of the culture that they come from. And it doesn't mean if you're interested in your heritage that you reject being American. I think the opposite is true. I think Americans come from a variety of cultures, and what makes you more American is that you understand the culture here, but you also understand where your parents come from.
It's such a beautiful film, Omar. I mean, really
Thank
just
you.
inspired. The visuals are just stunning. Let me ask you, Aleksandra talks about, when she lived in the Bronx and, they wanted to speak Spanish. You've been traveling a lot the last couple of years. How are other countries as accepting or more accepting than America?
Oh,
Of
of foreigners, right? It's a tricky question. I think it really depends. It really depends on the space that you find yourself in, right? I find that some countries that I've been to, countries where like the artistic output is really high, happens to be a lot more accepted, right? Like they get really excited. Like for example, and even in places where you wouldn't think so. A personal experience for me was recently. I went to Japan a couple years ago, and I went into a bar. I was doing research there for a documentary, and without knowing, I happened to go into a bar, and like everyone there was in the film industry. I had no idea. It's a really rare place for that to be happening. It's in the sumo town, right? So like there's no reason for that. But yeah, I just started having a drink with them and talking and becoming friends. And once my Japanese ran out, they helped me out with some English, and we all became friends. And it turns out that they were all in the industry. There was a writer, there was an actress, a producer, and they actually helped me with my film. I'm currently making a film about Peruvian Japanese food. It's called Bunka, and they actually welcomed me with open arms. They themselves helped me produce the portion of the film that was being done in Japan, in Tokyo. So I think that if you are lucky to be an artist, you'll always find like friends and a community, no matter where you go.
Right.
When you were finished with the film with Aleksandra, what did she think about the film and the experience?
I mean, I think it was something new for her. And I remember us becoming good friends. I remember us just having so many things in common, but also at the same time, she had an additional background, right? She had an additional culture within her. So it almost felt like there was a world inside of her and some things we could relate to and we could really, really like bond with. And then some things I didn't understand, right? And I personally think that we both had a really great time just being around each other and chatting and talking and making this film together. I just not too long ago, like a few weeks ago, I watched it again after like years. Like I hadn't watched it in a few years, and it made me so happy. I mean, she's an incredible artist, and something so we did so fast. You know, I think back then we only had like 3 days or something like that. It was so fast and it came out so nice. So I'm really proud of it. I think I last time I talked to her, and I hope to talk to her again soon. She was also very proud of it.
You
It
should be.
seems like probably her daughter is learning more about Russian culture than Dominican culture. I'm not sure.
No. She made a conscious effort to give her daughter both cultures, right? Like her daughter speaks a little bit of Russian and she speaks Spanish and she speaks English. So
Well, her
they were making
daughter's last name is Vargas. What culture is that?
it's also Spanish. Like
It's also Spanish.
yeah, like she is giving her everything she has, and that's beautiful because they even make art together. You see, like they make like pieces, and in their music, you can tell that she's passing along the culture, which is a theme I think of mine. With especially with I also had another film in FusionFest for Patrick, who made that exact same call to action to pass down your culture, to document it. And I feel like she's doing that with her daughter.
Yeah, we actually did a film on her mom a few years
Oh,
before
really?
that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But she's so talented. I mean, she's an opera singer. She designs costumes. She makes
Her
art.
costumes are incredible.
Yeah.
All of her clothes, every piece of clothing she designs is absolutely beautiful. And all the pieces she's wearing there, they're all creations of her.
Wow.
In the film, like her daughter's clothing in the
Right.
last shot is traditionally a Dominican dress, and what she's wearing is a version that she designed from Russian influences. If it was longer, we would have discussed her upbringing in Russia, like going to like museums, going to like the subways and how each of the subways looked like a museum because it was like embedded with art everywhere. There was just so much
How old was she when
inside
she
of
came
her.
to America?
I'm
Do you
sorry.
remember? How old was she when she came to America?
I believe she came when she was a very young child,
Very
but
young.
she has memories, if I'm not mistaken. I remember her telling me about the subway, quite a bit. We had a long chat about that. It was lovely.
Right.
So it sounds like you're saying that there was more material than you needed for a 5-minute film.
Certainly, yes. Yes. If I will do it today, I will. I think I could do it even better. But yeah, there was so much to talk about. She really is the reason why I put it. I think I named it A World Within was because she had a whole world worth of culture like passed down to her from her parents, and that is such a like incredible thing to carry with you, especially if you're gonna continue to pass it on and share it with others. She's an artist, so she's always sharing her art. That year she had a dress at FusionFest and she won, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah, she
In
Yeah.
the fusion design contest.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, she's incredible. I'm a big fan of her.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Omar. Thank you for showing up tonight. I appreciate it. Can we bring Raphael in? If you could hang around and we could talk a little bit more after.
Absolutely. Yes.
Hey, Raphael, how are you?
Hey, how are you guys? Can you hear me well?
Good. Raphael's on the road. I chose this film this month because it's actually Baked Alaska month. And Raphael's film was about my favorite baked Alaskan, Terry Olson.
Oh yeah. Hey, we can do a remake now.
Well, just watch it. I'm on the line, so if your discussion wants to go somewhere, I'm here.
Honestly, Terry, yeah, actually, we should hang out.
I know I haven't seen you for a long time.
Yeah, I've been back and forth. It's been really awesome. Been able to grow a lot in the storytelling space, and now getting more into bigger sets in different places. Awesome opportunities. Definitely like learning what it's like to be in the camera department and also producing side, which is interesting. But yeah, it's awesome. Grateful for it.
Well, then
So,
you need to sign up to make another film this year.
Yeah, I need all the paperwork. I need to know how to get back in it so that because I have a team now. I have everything
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been building all my friends to join a collective, and it's been awesome to find students and also the seasoned filmmakers around the Central Florida area that really want to work together to create something great and big and impactful. And so, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Was this film one of your first or early films?
Yeah. That's kind of like my breakthrough. So this is kind of you're one of my legacy pieces. So there we go. Yeah, because before I just did photography, and now we're directing photography, directing
right. That's amazing. Terry, what was it like for you? I mean, you're the person who thought of FusionFest, and there you are having a film made about you. What was that like?
Oh, well, I can talk about anything and love talking about myself, so it was no big deal, really.
And Raphael, you knew Terry before you made the film. It was sort of serendipitous that you guys got each other. Did you learn anything new about Terry?
I mean, I always knew Terry was cool, and I always knew he had the coolest fashion sense that I always wanted to live up to. But there was a lot of cool details about Terry that I didn't know after visiting his house. All the cool historical facts about how it is to be a native Alaskan, and all this really cool stuff about heritage. That was pretty awesome. I guess I know some stuff about Terry that most people probably don't know yet. I don't know until they watch his film.
Well, on that note, let's watch the film and learn more about Terry Olson.
Perfect.
I'm Terry Olson. I'm privileged to be FusionFest Chief Instigator. I grew up in Alaska, 8 stars of gold on a field of blue. Alaska, the last frontier. And it was definitely a place where people came from all over. I was excited to come there from Minnesota, where I had been on an Indian reservation and been a minority student and bullied a lot. But I think that adventurous experience of Alaska helped shape who I am today. In my ancestors, who first came to this country in 1610, got on a little boat, coincidentally, same boat that my wife's ancestor was on, got shipwrecked in the Bermudas, finally made it to Jamestown, and then my ancestors kept coming, moving west into the frontier and exploring new territory. I like to do that myself. The reason we came to Orlando was that SAC Theater, that I was a co-founder of, was performing at Renaissance festivals around the country, a style of audience participatory street theater that we developed. And people who were developing Epcot Center saw us and wanted us to come perform for the first 3 months of Epcot, but we figured be here longer than 3 months. So 9 of us all moved down here, piled into 4 apartments that we got, and have been here now almost 30, 40 years. Hi, I'm Terry, one of the founders of SAC. Over the 40 years or more, we went from a street theater to the SAC Comedy Lab, several locations downtown, and now here at the corner of Pine and Church Street.
What haven't you done?
Jumped off a perfectly good airplane.
I have done that.
All right, I'm out.
Terry Olson turned Orlando from a mosquito-thriving swamp
Preach.
into the arts mecca that it is today.
Because, Rob,
Because
Terry Olson is America.
FusionFest is by far the biggest thing I've ever worked on. Not only with over 100 heritages participating, but music, dance, fashion, spoken word, literature, visual arts gallery, interactive activities. A recent study by the Economic Development Board says that by the year 2030, we may very well be the most diverse major city in the world. So how are we going to deal with that? Throughout history and across the world, when different cultures come together, one thing that can happen is fear and distrust leading to hate and friction. But another way is when cultures work together, is they're more innovative and more influential. Personal life mission is to create dynamic events that enliven people. So what I hope to leave behind are people that are closer together, that is a community that supports one another, that loves and respects one another. So if you enjoyed this talk, my name is Terry Olson. If you didn't enjoy this talk, my name is Jim Helsinger.
I love that film. That's so good. And it's hard to believe that was your first film, Raphael. It's really, really well done. So, Terry, it's been 6 years since FusionFest started. Tell us has your vision been realized? Talk to us about that.
Well, it started as a 2-day festival. FusionFest was all about creating a 2-day festival. Everything was leading up to that. But it has grown to activities every week, monthly, and interspersed throughout the year. So, which only makes sense with a mission of celebrating the many diversity characters that we have here, and exploring how we work together. 2 days of the year is not going to make a big impact.
Right.
Well, it can make an impact, but not the same way that daily kind of thing of bringing people together. So we have an incredible community here, and I feel like FusionFest has really worked itself into the fabric of bringing all kinds of different cultural aspects of our community together.
And Raphael, tell us about your experience filming with Terry. I mean, what did you learn new about him that you didn't know before?
It was so hard to get things out of me, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, he was like a rock. You couldn't get anything out of this guy. No, I love that Terry has a heart for community and reaching people, and it's cool when you find people like that who are willing to go out of their way to just make people feel at home. And I'm glad that I've got somebody that I didn't have to like squeeze like an orange to like figure out like, what is your story? Tell me what's going on with your life. What makes you happy? Yeah, no, it's cool. And I feel like I could sit in a room with Terry for hours, days, and years and find something new. And those are some of my favorite people, honestly. You can always find something new to learn, especially when you're like somebody like me that's like a sponge.
Well, I have to say, I've lived here 34 years now, and Terry's been doing his job as the head of arts, Orange County Arts and Culture for how long, Terry?
I'm in my 23rd year.
23rd and final year. He's retiring. And I want to say, on behalf of all of Orlando, thank you so much. Because I remember when I first moved here 34 years ago, it was not nearly as culturally aware or sensitive or conscious about anything. And it's, I love that now when I drive around, the Transformers are painted with art, and there's murals, and it's just the art that's by the I-4 corridor. It's just, and I tribute that to you, Terry, and I want to thank
all me, sure.
No, well, you're the instigator. You love this stuff, and you've left a mark that's indelible.
Well, I've been blessed to be at the right place at the right time with the right people. So it takes all of those elements to make something really happen like it has happened.
And Terry's a great boss. He doesn't ask you to do anything but himself do. And the man is like everywhere, everything, all at once. If you ever go out on a night, a Friday or Saturday, he shows up at like every cultural artistic event for like 15 minutes and then moves on to the next one. I don't know where he gets his energy. I don't have that kind of energy. I don't know how they're going to fill your shoes, Terry.
Well, I'll tell you, when I moved here 40 years ago, I bought season tickets to everything cultural in town, everything.
Wow.
And it was not a problem. I mean, there's no way I can get to everything. Even I try to get to at least one thing at each cultural institution that the county supports during the year. But there's so much going on now.
Yes, there's so much. I mean, it's just going to Dr. Phillips Center the other night. They have 4 venues now in that one venue, and all very, there's ballet, there's jazz, there's, and again, I attribute a lot of that to your inspiration and leadership in this community. So, and Raphael, I think maybe once Terry's retired, we'll need to do another film on him.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, we need a steering committee on that, and then we'll steer that into fruition.
We should Terry Olson, the retrospective.
Yeah, Terry Olson, the closing curtain, and then the final hoorah.
Well, cool. I have a question for you two filmmakers. What is on your plate currently? What's your next project?
Omar,
go first.
Yeah, sure. So right now I'm working on 3 different films. The first one is a documentary, a feature-length documentary called Bunka. It's about the way that Peruvian Japanese food has transcended fusion to become culture in Peru and in Japan. I'm also working on expanding an old short documentary of mine about coffee. It's about coffee culture around the world and the challenges that each community faces. And I am making my first.
And I could see that you have an interest in that because we saw the coffee percolating in that film.
Yes.
Right.
I've been a big fan of coffee for a very long time.
Also,
and that first film changed my life.
Wanted to check Chef Leo, who's local, Leo Tamashira, I think, is a Peruvian Japanese person. Is he part of your film?
He's not currently. We have like a really limited amount of people in it, but we're looking to continue shooting and to continue expanding. So I will probably be talking to Leo sometime soon. That's for sure.
Do you know him?
I know of him. Okay. I haven't met him yet, but it's our film is about the Nikkei culture, and right now we have 2 countries. We have shot in Peru with 3 chefs. We have shot in Japan with 1 chef, but we're looking to expand to tell like a bigger picture story. So yeah, for sure, I am certainly gonna be in touch with him. Wow. And this year, I'm starting my first narrative. That's gonna be shot and produced and done everything entirely in Osaka. In Kyoto, Japan. So
nice. That's awesome.
Cool stuff coming.
Yeah, you become a bit of an international star yourself, Omar. I met Omar the one semester I taught at UCF. He was in my history class, and I told them about this, and it's been a great friendship ever since. I'm so
Yeah.
honored to see you grow, because I remember seeing your student film and thinking, "Oh my God, this guy's making a film for me."
That's awesome.
In a good way. And then when
Thank
I
you.
saw
No,
your film, I was like, "Wow, big difference."
I mean, honestly, I still remember something you told me the first time we talked in your class. I asked you if it was possible to make films alone, because at that time I had no connections, no film friends, no nothing. Right, I was coming back to college after a very long time working retail, so I was like, hey, maybe I should just do this on my own. And you were like, yeah, you can, but they just probably won't be good films. And that stuck with me for so long. So ever since, I have involved everyone, like as many friends as I can, my family, even like my girlfriends, like everyone has been involved in my world, and that has like given me so much, honestly. So I thank you for that. Even in Japan, like I made friends in Japan, and I made films with them there. So if you're shooting alone, you can definitely make films, but they just probably won't be very good ones. That has stuck with me ever since. Ever since.
Very Turchin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
You're
That's awesome.
welcome, Omar. It's not very often you get to see the fruit of your labor, your words. So thank you for that. And what about
Yeah.
you, Raphael? What are you up to these days? You said
Um.
you're on your way to South Carolina.
Oh yeah. Well, right now, trying to. I do. I do a lot of documentary. I mean, advertising stuff, but I really want to get into something more. I guess something more creative. So I'm out here. I'm gonna try to do some storytelling narrative deal also, and just trying to figure out where I want this to be, so that when we have the whole crew here, we have all our locations set up. But right now I'm actually working on this gentleman who used to play for the LA Rams. His name is Mr. Fred Stokes, and used to play in the NFL. And we're telling his story, and he's Orlando local, and so we're wrapping that up. We just finished the interview section of the
So
treatment, and
who
then
were you hired by to do that? But by him or by like ESPN or?
I'm working with some friends who are on their downtime from NBC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's it's a cool connection, and I wanna have them, because we're working on these things, these little story snippets before they get crazy busy before the Olympics. Because
Right, right,
once that
right.
time comes, we don't see each other, and it's hard. But yeah, I'm super grateful for it. And then I just got done working with NIFA on a project in New York.
What's NIFA?
Really awesome to have me. New York Film Academy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was like a really cool experience. Got to work on like a sound stage up there, and met some
Nice.
really talented seasoned filmmakers, and then got to work with a lot of their students too. So it was awesome. I felt so spoiled to have so many interns and students that I could tell what to do. Yeah, I was like, I was in the camera department working on on a unit, and then I would tell them, okay, since my shot list is done and we're done with this segment, let me break down. And they're like, no, don't do that. We have students here that will do that for you. And then I would get so confused. I'm like, so what do I do? Just eat from the snack bar? Like, because they want to do everything and they're so eager to help. And that's such a great, fulfilling thing. And so that's like one of my projects that I just finished up. That was really nice.
Nice.
A question for both of you. Of the films that we just saw, if you were now to do it, it's years later, again, what would you do differently?
That's a great question. I mean, yeah, it's been how many years? Like at least 3-4 years almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will do it. I will do so many things. I will do the entire structure of it differently. At that time, I was really trying to figure out what my voice was, like what my storytelling structure, how to approach documentary, right? With a really good idea of what story I wanted to tell, and I was I didn't take documentary in school. I think at that time there wasn't really like a big program for documentary. So I taught myself documentary by watching like a show, like a documentary show called Street Food, and watching the same episode like 100 times. Like I would write down what I thought was happening. I would pause every minute, and what I thought was happening, I would write down, and I would like kind of like reverse engineer their structure.
Huh.
At this point, I
Right.
actually managed to work on that show.
Oh,
I
wow.
luckily enough, yeah, I got a job working there and producing the story for their third season. And you know, I kind of got to see behind the curtain, and I brought that in with my own things that I had learned across this all of these years now. And yeah, I will apply my own storytelling structure now. I will shoot it much differently, but you know, visually, that's second place. The story, like I will structure it much better. I will structure it with my own voice. Um,
Nice.
the voice I was trying to figure out how to, like, you know, how to find back then.
How about you, Raphael?
Over the years, after working with bigger agencies and bigger companies, I really embrace the power of sound, sound engineering, and how that helps amplify the story literally and metaphorically. Um, I think using the right essence, like imagine like the sound of tall grass hitting the wind and all that stuff, like that just adds so much to the to the whole story. And then working with people like score makers, I know it's like an extra step, but just being able to work with orchestras, quartets, and like local musicians that can help give it that extra flavor. I think that's what makes it good. And then obviously, yeah, having amazing pre-production people that are good helps me like just help with the direction and kind of like help with the fine-tuning things, you know. So yeah, I think, and obviously lighting, better lighting now. I mean, then it wasn't bad because Terry's house has like a lot of windows, which thank God, it's awesome.
Right.
But yeah, now we have like, now that I know and I've grown in it, like I'm like obsessed with optics. I'm obsessed with soft lighting and all this stuff, all those things that people don't really like think about, but I do.
Right. Well, Raphael, you said you didn't know where to go to sign up again. So for those of you out in viewing land, it's fusionfest.org/film. And if you want to be a filmmaker, click on the filmmaker button. And if you want to be a subject, I believe the button says share your story. And apply for 2024. We do this contest the last weekend in August. The filmmaker and subject meet on Friday night, and then they have the weekend to shoot, and the filmmaker has a total of 5 days to shoot and edit. So if anyone's interested, it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen. I'd love to see some applications in my inbox.
When is the deadline for this year?
August 1st.
August 1st?
Is
okay.
Yeah, application deadline.
But
all right, guys, August 1st. Don't forget it. Sign up now.
Don't wait till then. Do it now.
Do it now and save that weekend.
Yeah, free shipping and handling if you do it right now.
$99.99.
Right. We'll throw in his keychain for $5, but it's free. That's awesome.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. I really appreciate the conversation. I'm so very proud of both of you. I see you, you know, I think my favorite part of this is seeing the filmmakers grow as filmmakers and really, you know, find their voice, like Omar was saying, as a filmmaker and sharing it with the world. It's a great gift. So thank you guys for sharing your gift. And Terry, thank you for sharing your story.
Yes. And thank you to our audience for watching this, our virtual watch party here in February of 2024.
Yay.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
See you next month.
Good to see you guys. Thank you.
Wow.